Hi everyone, Jade here, and welcome to my channel Marette's Gaming Den, where I will be building a big manor house on The Sims 4, where each room represents a Daedric prince. I am a big fan of both The Sims and the Elder Scrolls games, which is why I wanted to create a house similar to Skyrim's Hearthfire home in The Sims 4 world. Just so you know, I'm not using any custom content in this build, so I really had to use my imagination when it came to decorating each room, and I'm not the best exterior builder, hence why the manor speed build is a bit short. This video's main focus is on the interior rooms, which was the most exciting part for me. If you're not familiar with the Elder Scrolls games, then I appreciate you stopping by anyway. They're a series of action fantasy role-playing games set in the fictional open world of Tamriel. My script for this video initially included endless paragraphs of Elder Scrolls lore, but that's only because I'm absolutely obsessed and would literally research for hours on end about anything and everything related to Elder Scrolls. If you are, however, interested in more lore-focused videos, do let me know in the comment section down below. With regards to this video, where I'm creating a room for every Daedric prince, Daedric princes in the Elder Scrolls games are a type of deity that are worshipped like gods, all with very different and extreme personalities. They all have their own realm of oblivion, or dimensions as we would call it, which they have full control over. In the games there are 17 known Daedric princes who often view their mortal worshippers as minor amusements or playthings. However, some are considered benevolent and can even be useful to mortals, but this is usually for a price. As you can see in this build, I am working on the communal areas of the manor, and I even included the alchemy, library and enchanting rooms that are similar to the rooms that come with the Skyrim Hearthfire DLC. In each of the rooms, I'll tell you a little bit more about each prince and the spheres that they govern. The room that I'm currently working on here is a shared room between our two Daedric princes Jiggalag and Sheogorath. Jiggalag, who shares the awfully grey-themed side of the room, is the Daedric Prince of Order. His sphere represents logical order and deduction. He is often in the form of a giant grey shiny knight, and his followers are called the Knights of the Order. He is viewed as quite bleak and colourless, and he is the only prince who doesn't have his own realm of oblivion. The reason why is because Jiggalag was once considered so powerful that the other princes grew jealous or feared him. Therefore, they cursed him to live as Sheogorath, which was the opposite of his personality. Sheogorath is the Daedric Prince of Madness and Absolute Chaos, and arguably a fan favourite among the Elder Scrolls games. Jiggalag was allowed to return to his true form at the end of every era in order to retake Sheogorath's realm of oblivion, which is called the Shivering Isles, in an event called the Grey March. However, once the Grey March is complete, Sheogorath is allowed to retake form and start the cycle of chaos again. As the Prince of Madness, Sheogorath's motives are always unknown, and he is sometimes referred to as the Mad God, being unpredictable and rather sadistic. His favourite pastime is torture, and he spent thousands of years tormenting butterflies, which is now associated with him. He also has an obsession with anything cheese related, and one of his most well-known artifacts is the Wabberjack, which is a Daedric staff that transforms its target into a completely random item or creature. He is often in the form of a well-dressed elderly man speaking with an Irish or Scottish accent, wearing bright purple or gold outfits, and he can be quite charismatic.
Cheese!
Now we're coming on to one of my favourite Daedric princes, which is Hermaeus Mora, and he is the Prince of Forbidden Knowledge and Fate. Unlike the other princes, Hermaeus Mora does not take humanoid form, but instead manifests as a grotesque assemblage of eyes and tentacles, sometimes being referred to as the Wretched Abyss. He is definitely a creepy Daedric prince who hoards his knowledge and ensnares mortals with his secrets. I include piles and piles of books in Hermaeus Mora's room because the plane of his oblivion is called Apocrypha, which is an endless library that includes forbidden knowledge. Apocrypha is actually a pretty cool world to explore in. It has levitating books and spiraling pillars, with a green sky and a sea of ink and tentacles. You can access Apocrypha through reading black books, which are tomes of forbidden knowledge spread across Tamriel. I would say that Hermaeus Mora is quite Lovecraftian with regards to his appearance and fear of the unknown. He also appears to be one of the wisest Daedric princes, although not to be trifled with, as he can be quite cruel to his followers, not giving anything away for free. Our next room belongs to the Daedric Prince of Trickery and Bargains, Clavicus Bile, whose sphere is the granting of power and wishes through ritual invocations and pacts. This is why I included the wishing well from The Sims 4 to represent his personality. He is rarely seen without his loyal companion, Barbas, who typically assumes the form of a dog, but is also known to appear as a scamp called Creeper. Clavicus Bile's realm of oblivion is called the Fields of Regret, which appears as a tranquil countryside that contains dense forests, lakes, and mountains with stone spirals filling the landscape. Here we have Malakath's room. Malakath is the Daedric Prince of Lies, Deception, and Hypocrisy, and he is the Lord of Ash and Bone. His sphere represents the patronage of the spurned and ostracized, the keeper of the sworn oath, and the bloody curse. Although considered one of the weaker Daedric princes, he is a very vengeful one who represents conflict, battle, broken promises, and anguish. As an outcast, he is considered the patron of the Orc race, and his realm of oblivion is the Ash Pit, which is very difficult to access and consists of dust and smoke. As such, I include a lot of ash and dust in his bedroom, as well as a few swords to represent his battles and conflicts. This bedroom represents Mephala, who is the Daedric Prince of Secrets, whose sphere is associated with murder, lies, and deception, always weaving a web of intrigue and terror. She is known as the web spinner and plot weaver, and she does not care about mortals in terms of their safety or well-being, often interfering with their affairs for her own amusement. As this room represents, her realm of oblivion is the spiral scheme, where it resembles a dark sprawling cavern populated by spiders and other crawling creatures such as Spider Daedra, which is half spider and half woman. Our next Daedric prince is Perit, who is the Daedric Prince of Pestilence and Plague, the bringer of disease and lord of natural order. His sphere includes tasks, natural order, and contamination. Perit will bless his worshippers with disease and can be considered one of the more destructive princes, taking the form of a green four-legged dragon. You can see here that I include a large toy dragon and some other dragon ornaments such as the lamp and some dragonflies. Perit is often viewed as a weak prince, but despite his weak reputation, his plagues have been deemed dangerous enough to potentially wipe out all of Tamriel. His realm of oblivion is called the Pits, which include lava seas, volcanic islands, and ruined structures. Now this next room is actually one of my favourite rooms that I created, and this belongs to Vermina, who is the Prince of Dreams and Nightmares and the Daedric Lady of Corruption and Decay. All mortals come under her sway as they sleep, and she's considered one of the more demonic Daedra, causing destruction just for the sake of it, and also inflicting torture. She takes delight in mortals who commit outrageous sins or those who kill in pursuit of power. She will communicate to her worshippers as they sleep, and they will partake in rituals that involve falling asleep or forcing captives to have vivid nightmares. Her realm of oblivion is Quagmire, a nightmarish land that hungers for the memories of mortals and leaves them with visions of horror and despair. Reality in Quagmire will shift and become ever more horrifying. Sanguine is our next prince and is considered another favourite among Elder Scrolls fans. He is the Daedric Prince of Lust, hedonistic revelry and debauchery. His sphere represents passionate indulgences of darker natures, and is often depicted as a crimson-skinned man with horns and tusks, carrying a bottle in his hand. Some mortals view him as a harmless drunk due to his outgoing nature and enthusiasm for partying and drinking alcohol, but he also enjoys playing pranks on others. He is said to control thousands of small realms called the Myriad Realms of Revelry. Our next prince is Nemira, who is the Daedric Prince of Hunger, whose sphere is the Ancient Darkness. She is also called the Lady of Decay. She is associated with anything repulsive and considered the patron of vermin and squalor, hence why I include a lot of rubbish in her bedroom. She can be worshipped in numerous ways, but most notable cases involve simply living in darkness and squalor. Other practices, more disturbingly, include ritual murder and cannibalism. Those who often feel shunned by society may flock to Namira and worship her, congregating in dark or filthy places and developing unsanitary habits. There is also an alchemy plant in the games called Namira's Rot, which is a type of mushroom. Her realm of oblivion is called the Scuttling Void, although very little is known about this particular Daedric dimension. Our next room represents Meridia. Meridia is the Daedric Prince of Life and Light. She is also known as the Lady of Infinite Energies, the Bright Lady, and the Radiant One. Meridia has an everlasting hatred for the undead and will greatly reward any who eliminate them from the world. Although considered quite benevolent, her Daedric nature shows she uses mortals as a means to an end. Meridia bestows immortality upon her followers at the cost of their free will, becoming those known as the Purified, slaves to her command, cleansed of disease and death. This is why I decided to place many cleaning products in her room and ironically make her share a wall with Namira, which I'm sure Meridia would despise. I also place these round ball lights around the room, which represent the in-game Meridia's Beacon, an item in Skyrim which is a magical stone associated with Meridia, known to speak to and influence those in possession of it. We next have Azura, the Daedric Prince of Dawn and Dusk, also known as the Twilight Queen. She is associated with magic in between realms of twilight, as well as mystery and magic, fate and prophecy, and vanity. Azura is one of the few Daedra considered good by mortal standards, and apparently feels more concerned for the well-being of her followers. This may be due to her wanting her followers to not only love her, but to love themselves, which pains her if they do not. This attitude has led to an extremely devoted following. Her plane of oblivion is called Moon Shadow, which is said to hold too much beauty, so much that it renders mortal visitors half blind. Moon Shadow is a beautiful realm that contains flowers, waterfalls, and pink trees. One of her most well-known Daedric artifacts is Azura's Star, a large star-shaped gemstone that acts as a reusable soul gem with unlimited capacity, which is highly useful for mages to use for enchanting. This artifact can, however, be corrupted by mortals to trap black soul gems instead, becoming the Black Star. Our next room represents Hircine, who is the Daedric Prince of the Hunt, the sport of Daedra, and the greatest game. He is commonly known as the Huntsman, Master of the Chase, and the Master of Beasts. He is often depicted with a great spear with the head of an elk. His plane of oblivion is the hunting grounds, an endless forest where the prince and his huntsmen will hunt great beasts, people, and even other Daedra. Hircine is also recognised as a father of man-beasts and serves as the guardian of were-creatures, often referring to them as his children. He is quite prideful of lycanthropy, and he will claim the souls of all werewolves who will then spend eternity in the hunting grounds after they die. Our next prince is Boethiah, who is the Daedric prince of plots, deceit, and the unlawful overthrow of authority. Boethiah is depicted as a great-caped warrior, and they rule the plane of oblivion called Attribution's Share. I actually really struggled with Boethiah's room because many of the Daedric princes all have very strong personalities, so in this case I used a lot of mischief books and voodoo dolls. Our next room represents Nocturnal, the Daedric prince of night and darkness, who is also known as the Lady of the Night, Mistress of Shadows, and the Shadow Thief. Nocturnal is often associated with and depicted alongside jet black ravens and crows who possess the ability to speak. She is considered one of the most eldest and powerful of the Daedric princes. Some mortals worship her as thieves and see her as their patron, such as a group called the Nightingales. Her plane of oblivion is called Evergloam, a realm of perpetual twilight and the cradle of shadow. It has a primary plane and several pocket realms, and they are thought to be constantly shifting and perceived differently by different mortals, filled with forests and a purple landscape. One of her infamous Daedric artifacts is the Skeleton Key, which can be used to unlock any lock and is unbreakable. We now have one of our most destructive princes, Mehrunes Dagon, who is the Daedric prince of darkness and destruction. His sphere encompasses destruction, change, revolution, and ambition. He is associated with natural disasters like fires, floods, and earthquakes. He is the main antagonist in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion game, and he resembles a giant demon-like being with red skin and multiple arms. His realm of oblivion is called the Deadlands, a hellish dimension fraught with natural disasters and destructive change, covered with lava, scorched volcanic islands, and ruined structures. On reflection, I should have added more fire elements to his room, but I added a lot of red items and daggers to reflect his destructive nature. Now last but not least, and perhaps one of our most evil princes, Molag Bal, the Daedric prince of domination, whose sphere is the enslavement of mortals. His ultimate desire is to harvest the souls of all mortals, taking great pleasure in tormenting them and preserving their lives beyond their normal lifespan just to prolong their suffering. He also takes a liking to necromancy, forcing his followers to serve beyond the grave, and he is also considered the father of vampires. Molag Bal rules the world of Cold Harbour. Cold Harbour is a desolate and unnaturally cold world inhabited by other Daedra, but also the tormented husks of mortals called Soul-Shriven. I included the anchor item in his room as his method of accessing the world of Tamriel is through the use of dark anchors that opens the portals of oblivion. He is the main antagonist for the Elder Scrolls Online game. Before I give you the full tour, I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this video. If you do like this video, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. This is my first ever video, but I do intend on uploading more content in the near future. If you do have any suggestions or feedback for any future gameplay, please do let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.